Hi, my name is Josh Miller, and I'm an assistant professor at Texas State University. First, I want to express my thanks to all the organizers who planned this event. I also want to thank you for tuning in, for supporting the Scholars Strike, and for engaging in these important conversations about Black Lives Matter, structural racism, and diversity in the classroom. My presentation is going to focus on that latter topic of how to infuse diversity into the classroom. And I'm going to take a little bit more of a meta approach, and I'm going to be discussing ways we as instructors can engage and analyze discourses of diversity themselves in our college classrooms and with our students. And so this summer we witnessed several horrific instances of anti-Black violence at the hands of law enforcement. And after those tragedies, we also saw institutions of higher education and corporations and other organizations released statements about what had happened. And a lot of these statements included the language of diversity and inclusion to describe what the organization, the corporation, the institution of higher education supported. And more importantly, perhaps, many of these statements failed to discuss structural racism, white supremacy, and police brutality. And so in this presentation, I want to unpack how we as instructors can discuss this with our students and to get our students to focus in on how retors use the language of diversity and inclusion and towards what ends. And so I'm going to be highlighting 4 articles that I've used in the past to discuss how retors use the language of diversity and inclusion and towards what ends with students in my class. And I think I'm going to highlight some of the key quotes from some of these articles that I think push students to think more critically about discourses of diversity, the limitations of those discourses, and also the consequences of the use of those discourses, especially if it's uncritical and unthoughtful. And so we'll start with the first reading that I use to talk to students about the discourses of diversity, and it is the introduction chapter from Carr's book on the rhetorical invention of diversity. And I think this is a very good reading for students to engage in because it gets them to think about what the language of being diversity is getting set against. And so Carr's analysis really highlights how in Supreme Court cases about affirmative action, the language of diversity was used in opposition to the language of equality, or analysis based off of historical inequality. And so one of the key quotes from this reading is that in the Supreme Court case of Bakke, it was an important discursive moment that helped shift the justificatory grounds of race-conscious public policy from a shared understanding of historical inequity and the need for reparative equality to a broader appreciation of racial diversity as a constitutionally laudable goal. And so this chapter provides a very vivid illustration for students about how the language of diversity was used in opposition to equality, and in particular, arguments and analyses based off of historical inequity. And so this, again, this introductory chapter provides students with a very clear case of how the language of diversity can curtail efforts to right historical wrongs and to promote, and can also curtail efforts to promote structural reform by supplanting or undermining an appeal to equality and the need to correct historical wrongs. The next essay I want to talk about takes this argument a little bit further. And so Moore and Bell, and their article, Maneuvers of Whiteness, they argue that the use of diversity, especially in the context of affirmative action policies, can foster colorblindness. And so in particular, they write that nearly the instant that diversity in education became a rationale by the court as an interest so compelling as to justify the use of race-conscious policies like affirmative action, the concept gets deracialized, securely fitted into the colorblind subframe. And so this article pushes us as instructors and our students to think about the ways that diversity can circulate in colorblind frames in ways that prevent some considerations of structural racism, white privilege, and racial equality. And so another one of the quotes that sticks out to me and usually sticks out to students is this argument that colorblind implication of diversity fundamentally excludes consideration of racial inequality as well as white power and white privilege. And so here again, we're seeing that one of the limitations or potential consequences of unreflective use of discourse of diversity is that it would prevent us from discussing racial inequality and privilege. The next essay that I use with my students is this essay by Haikido and Murray, and it is White and Rainbows, How White College Students Protect Whiteness Through Diversity Discourses. And these authors continue this line of argument that even in pro-diversity, multiracial environments, our discourse can still preserve white privilege and white dominance, and they're specifically looking at how the discourse of white students can preserve that white privilege and dominance. And so specifically, they're exploring the ways that we can sustain white supremacy even within a paradigm that appears to promote inclusion and pluralism. And one of the aspects of their study that always jumps out to me is their analysis of what they call happy talk, and that is the ways that celebrating diversity and celebrating a culture that promotes diversity and inclusion can manifest in ways that prevent us from talking about discrimination that happens in that environment, or that kind of happy talk, the celebration of diversity, that we have this very diverse and inclusive campus, can ignore some of the historical inequities that have happened on the campus, the ongoing discrimination that students of color face on that campus. And so one of the quotes that really jumps out at me in their analysis is that the celebration of diversity and difference might overlook the social inequalities that follow with diversity and difference. And the authors also kind of continue this argument about how the language of diversity can still circulate in colorblind frames that undermine our ability to discuss or focus in on structural inequality. And so they present this argument that as we celebrate diversity, that celebration can become so ingrained that people in the environment no longer kind of think that that environment is being impacted by race, racism, or structural forms of oppression. And so they kind of highlight how even in these pro-diversity, multiracial environments, colorblind logics can still prevent us from addressing discrimination and cultivating a community that students of color can feel safe and free from that discrimination. The next article, and the last article that I want to highlight, is Duncan's article on cheap commodities or hot commodities, cheap labor. And in this article, Duncan succinctly explains how practices associated with multiculturalism and diversity and the discourses around multiculturalism and diversity often focus us on an individualistic level rather than looking at the structure and analyses of power. And because of this, Duncan argues that diversity efforts can often be deeply problematic because they rely on these individualistic additive models that we will hire a faculty of color as opposed to more deeper structural change and analyses of power in the situation. And so Duncan writes that simply adding race and women of color to a white-dominated program or programming paradigms without transforming the context actually undermines the potential contributions of women in color. And so I think this essay and her personal narrative of some of her experience in higher education impacts students at a very deep level, and her narrative really shows how unreflexive efforts to promote diversity can do more harm than good. And one of the reasons is based off Duncan's explanation that they focus us in on an individual level rather than encouraging us to think about the institution, the structure, and the power dynamics at play at that institution. And so another quote that I think really instructors can use with their students to really highlight some of the potential consequences of commitments to diversity that aren't reflexive is this quote by Duncan, where Duncan writes that faculty color are often commodified and overused by their own institutions as a means to portray a commitment to diversity. As such, Duncan writes that she was expected to perform not as a person within the institution, but as a persona. And so here, right, a consequence of an institution of higher education promoting and framing themselves as a diverse institution rested in how it commodified her as a faculty of color. And so Duncan's narrative shows and kind of highlights how she was asked to do a bunch of additional label to create this kind of aura or this persona of diversity for the institution or the department. And so she had extensive service demands and mentoring demands in an effort for the institution to cultivate its image as being diverse, which commodified her labor. And that was, again, a large consequence of using the discourse of diversity to frame an institution in a particular way that commodified the scholar of color. And so that is the fourth article that I use to get students to think more deeply about how institutions portray themselves as diverse. And so thank you all for watching. I hope that you will be able to have some more thoughtful conversations with students about how, the limitations and consequences of discourses of diversity. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in and supporting the Scholar Strike and for engaging in these important conversations that we are having about Black Lives Matter, structural racism, and diversity in the college classroom.